Welcome to another question on linear programming. And on this one, we'll look at paper one type of question where you're supposed to find the inequalities. The other one we looked at, we are finding, the other one we are shading, putting it on the graph. Now here it is already on the graph, then you come up with the inequalities. Now let's look at this question, 2025 paper 1 GCE. The question reads, write 3 inequalities that define the unshaded region R. In this case, you are required to define the region which is unshaded, which is this region R here. So let's define the whole of that region using the inequalities. So the first one and the easiest one is to start with the vertical and horizontal lines which are shaded. So if you check here, we have the horizontal line here, the one which is passing here. So you can see that this line is passing where y is equal to -2. So you say y. So after writing y, I'll check the shaded part. The shaded part is the less than part, which is this one. That is the shaded part. Now the unshaded, which is the top part which we are defining, is where y is greater. So in this case, it will be y is greater or equal to -2. So that's the first inequality. Y is equal to -2. Then we move on to the next one. For the next one, we can start with the any line. So I'll start with this one. I'll start the one which is shaded, this part, this one. This is the one I'll start with. Yeah, I'll get the points at anywhere within the same line. So I have the point here. Yeah, the point is somewhere there, and the point here, the coordinates. So I'll get the coordinates on those 2 points. The first one here I have is the points are 2, 0. Okay. Then the other point there it's 5. I mean 0, 5. So these are the 2 points for that line. And then to find the inequality for this one, first of all I have to find the gradient, and the formula for gradient is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So here if I check, I have my x, I have my y2 will be the 5. So 5 would be my y2. So I'll say 5. Then 0 in the other on the other coordinates will be my y1. So 5 minus 0 over the x2. If we got 5 as our y2, then 0 here will be our x2. So it will be 0 minus 2 there, which is our x1, since 0 was our y1. So this will give us, if we do the mathematics, to give us 5 over -2. So this is our gradient. So after finding the gradient, now let's Let's now find the inequality by using, I'll use this formula, y minus y1, okay, equals to gradient, which is m, open brackets, then x, okay, so minus okay, minus x1. So this is the formula I'll use. So to start with, I'll bring down the y, then minus y1. The y1 use the one which you used in your when finding gradient as y1. That's the one you're supposed to use, not the one used as 2. So y1 was the one there. Y1 was 0. So we shall maintain 0 as our y1. Okay, equal to our gradient we have there, it's negative 5 over 2. Then open brackets, we shall say x, okay, minus x1, which is 2. Okay, then here if you do y minus 0, it will give us 1. Okay, equals to negative 5 over 2 multiplied by x is negative 5 over 2 x. Okay, then negative 5 over 2 times negative 2 to give us positive 5. Then finally, having done this, you have made y the subject. So the key here is to make y the subject of the formula. After that, then you can check the y on the unshaded part. So the unshaded part for y, it's where y is less or equal to. So our final answer will be y is equal to not equal to. So our final answer will be less or equal to, less or equal to negative 5 over 2x. Okay, minus 5. So we have found the first two inequalities. The first one was y is equal to negative 2. Then the second inequality is y is also equal to negative 5 over 2x minus 5. These are our first two. Now let's find the third and the final inequality for this question. We find the third and the final inequality. So in this final, we'll get the coordinates here, and the coordinates here, there it is negative 1, 0. Okay, then here we have our another one here, which will be 0. The part of our x there is 0, 2. Okay, then after that, just as we did, we find the gradient. So our gradient will be y2 minus y1. So my y2 will be 2 here in the second degree point. So 2 minus y1 on the first coordinates there, it's 0 over x2 will be 0 minus, it will be 0 here, minus the x1 here, which is negative 1. So we write negative 1 in the brackets. Okay. So when you do 2 minus 0, it's 2, then there 0 minus c, and negative 1 is 1. So our final answer will be positive 2. Okay. Then we can now move on to finding the final answer. So we can say, therefore, okay, y is equal minus y1, okay, is equal to gradient, just as we did on the previous question, x minus x1. Okay, so our y1 would be y1 in this case is 0. So y minus 0 equal to the gradient to the place which is 2, which we have found. Then x minus x1, or x1 is negative 1. Okay, negative 1. Then y minus 0, that is, you get y equal to 2 minus x, that is 2x. Okay. Then negative and negative 1 there, that is positive 1 multiplied by 2. We are going to have positive 2. Okay. After that, then we check the unshaded part of y. Since y is already the subject of the formula, so the unshaded part of this line, and you can see the line is broken. It is a broken line. The dotted line is not a straightforward line, it is a broken. So when you have a broken line, you have to write your final answer in this way. Y, the unshaded part, the down part of that line, going something somewhere down, it means that's where y is less. So y is less than 2x plus 2. Okay, this is our third inequality. So we have found the first inequality, y is greater or equal to negative 2. Then the second one was y is less or equal to negative 5 over 2x plus 5. And here is the third and final inequality, which is y is less than 2x plus 2. So this is how you find, how you calculate for the inequalities in paper 1 linear programming. Subscribe to the channel for more videos. Like, comment and share. Thank you very much for your attention for today's lesson. See you next time.